right here. Let us find a way to seek heaven within, to feel that our hearts are born open. They are made to be open. We just need to say yes. And with that, I open today with saying, not only is there a power in this universe greater than we could ever imagine, we happen to be linked directly to it. And so we just take this moment to anchor in that knowingness, finding, discovering, and honoring that truth that God is right here and heaven is always waiting for each and every one of us to accept that divinity. And so as we open up this ceremony, thanking the speaker, thanking the listeners, we just claim that joy. We give great thanks. And so it is. Well, good morning. Happy to be here at our beautiful Center for Spiritual Living, and we have an opportunity to honor all sacred paths. I've got an awesome candle lighter here, my very own, Drake Hughes. As you may or may not know, we are an interfaith gathering, a spiritual community that honors all teachings and all spiritual teachers. So let us begin. We have the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. Shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of pristine spirituality. Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths as a path of compassion. Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. And of course, New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Our final candle is the healing candle of love. We invite you in the stillness of your own mind to bring to awareness the names of anyone that you wish to be included in this healing flame of love and light. And now that our flames of faith are fully lighted, we move forward into our celebration, realizing and reaffirming that all paths lead to God. Mr. Hughes, thank you so much. Now, our inspirational quote today is based off of the sacred reading, I Believe, which is basically tenets for what we believe here at the center. However, they have been paraphrased by our very own speaker today, Kaleem. I believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest calling of God and the innermost God is the infinite. I believe the infinite is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. I believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature. I believe anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in conscious contact with the indwelling God. I believe in the healing of disharmony and the co-creation of conditions through the power of the infinite. And back to our amazing choir. And long time no seeing you guys. Just kidding. Hi. It's Sunday. It's a little rainy, but we are here celebrating life. Doesn't get much better than that. Now, a couple of announcements just to make sure you are up to speed on all things Spiritual Center. Our office hours we've been announcing are changing. So starting on Sunday the 14th, I believe that's a Sunday. If not, then shame on me. They're going to be changing Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So you can always leave a voicemail, send an email, but those will be the new office hours. Now, speaking of celebrating life, I want to take a moment to just acknowledge something that is coming up. Thank you for having those slides ready. Our very own Joan, who's been such an integral part of our center, is celebrating the life of her mother, who recently passed, in conjunction also with her father, since their passing was in a kind of close window. So we ask that you show up Saturday, August 17th, 2 p.m. here, I believe, at the center. We're also going to be streaming it live on Facebook, celebrating love. That is a beautiful picture, and it's actually my anniversary today. So I think that is really ironic. So, Joan, thank you for allowing us to support you in this. I will also have a minister's moment, so I'll give Rev an opportunity to speak on some of the things that are going to be going on with our nutrition workshop. But if that is already sparking your ear, then please listen for more. And then, as always, just informing the population on our gracious giving. In July, we were able to support to end homelessness, which is a huge topic of discussion, and we were able to raise funds to provide to them, and you can see the totals that we were able to raise. So, and also Anchorage Remade, so 2 foundations we were able to support. And with that, if I may, pass it on to Reverend Don Fleming for our minister's moment.
Thanks, Stevie. I just wanted to talk a little bit about next week's workshop. The actual time is 12:30 until 2, but between 12, hopefully our speaker will wrap it up before that. But we're going to have nutritious snacks. So if you're staying for the workshop, you're invited to stay and have a nutritious snack prior to the workshop. So there's a sign-up sheet in the back so that we know how much good nutrition to have. I really believe that what this philosophy and what this center is all about is helping us live lives that are more meaningful, helping us live our day-to-day lives based on these spiritual principles that we teach. And this is an opportunity for spiritual nutrition. What we eat, what's more fundamental than what we stuff in our face every day? And this is an opportunity to do that. And the other thing I want to do today is to thank our leadership council. We came in here yesterday for our annual retreat, and we did some of the hard work of this center. Some of the things that aren't the fun things. And I just want to name our leadership council. Our president is Heather Eldred. We have Amy Klein, Bob Corpin, here every week on and off. Judy, who never misses. Cynthia George, who isn't here right at the moment, but I think she's going to be here a little later. Joan Heidel in the choir. And Tony Shannon is always here too, at least when she's not in Kotlik. But even from Kotlik, she tunes in and watches. So I just want to name those people and acknowledge that they were here all day yesterday doing the hard work for this center, for all of you. Thank you. Now we can have some good music.
And my name is Kaleem Nuriddin. I'm so happy to have the opportunity to share with you this today. And not only grateful, with our hearts wide open. Well, for many of us know, here in Anchorage, Alaska, this is back to school week. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, is that right? And, what comes up for some of you when you hear back to school?
Yay!
Yeah, all right. Somebody's happy? Somebody's happy? All right. New beginnings.
Seeing friends again.
Seeing friends again.
Grown.
Ooh. As in, okay. And learning, all right. And of course, to many, I know my grandson, he is so happy. He's a 10-year-old going to 5th grade. He is so happy to get back to school. I said, why are you happy to get back to school? You know the reason why? Friends. My friends, right? He missed them all summer, right? And so, also I wanted to mention, as part of back to school, this is also back to school season for the Centers of Spiritual Living. this is when we'll be getting, Reverend Don announced a couple weeks ago, we'll be formulating some classes in which we'll invite you to come back to school with us, okay? And like my grandson, part of coming back to school and attending our classes and trainings is that you get to make new friends as well as reacquaint yourself with old friends. So we'd invite each of you to keep your mind open, your heart open to opportunities to come back to school with us here at the center. And we're waiting to see exactly what the class is going to be, because I understand the Center for Spiritual Living have designed a new curriculum, and so we're waiting to see what that will be. At very minimum, we're going to do the foundation class, if anything else, right? We'll see what comes up for us. So it's back to school, and we know that traditionally school means, for many of us, the idea of learning. And then we have academic learning, and we have vocational learning. And so obviously, you know, since this is the Center for Spiritual Living, we're going to be taking a spiritual aspect of what back to school means. Okay, I'd like to see if you can join me in this journey back to school. Now, of course, many of us know, I'm going to test your age. Okay? What are the 3 R's of education? Reading, writing, and arithmetic. I tried that on my grandson. He says, "Papa, that's not 3 R's." Right? But we're trained to think that way, right? Okay, reading, writing, and arithmetic. So, of course, that means the fundamentals of basic education is the reading, the writing, and the arithmetic. And many of us have spent many years in our kindergarten days to acclimate into that. We also know in academic learning, and it's always fun when I'm preparing these talks, I actually look up things I just take for granted, like the reading, writing, arithmetic. There's no, 3 R's, right? But also preschool, kindergarten, elementary school. Now they call it middle school. See, old schoolers, I went to junior high school, okay? Now, high school. And then for many of us, some of us, we go on to so-called higher education. And today we realize how important we're re-emphasizing vocational education. Right? And then those of us who go into the academics, in higher education, we're pursuing our bachelor's degree. And some of us go on to pursue our master's, our doctor's. And sometimes we do so well in our academic studies, we graduate with magna cum laude. What does all that mean? Okay, what's that? You're smart, okay? Or you can endure. Okay, so we're going to take a little reflection on this journey back to school. We're going to take a look at this. Now, what was fun for me when I began to look at preschool and kindergarten, of course, some of you academics probably already know this stuff. I just discovered today, or just in the last 24 hours. Kindergarten is a German phrase, I understand, right? And kinder is for children, and garden actually means a garden, where children are to grow. Isn't that sweet? I didn't know that. All right. All right. And also, of course, one of the main, we understand, and some of you academics can help me on this, because I know some elementary school teachers in here, okay? One of the main things of preschool and kindergarten is to allow the children to get acclimated for social development of being in a learning environment, right? And to play and discover, so they become comfortable being away from mama and daddy and their comfortable environment, their regular routines, and to meet new friends and get acquainted. And I do know that for most children, that becomes a very pleasurable experience. And then, of course, we go on to elementary school, and that's where we're getting to the reading, which really emphasis on reading, writing, and arithmetic, the fundamentals and foundations. So I want to relate that to our education here at the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. We actually had, we're assuming it's going to be something like that, a foundations class. And the foundations really is something that which we lay the foundations for metaphysical school. We actually focus on a number of elements. One of the main things we focus on is the oneness, the cosmology of oneness. And then we go through all kind of talk about how we are one with this infinite, etc. So I encourage each one of you to look forward, if you haven't taken the foundations class, or to retake it if you haven't taken it in a number of years. And whatever the foundation class will end up naming or called, the foundation, the fundamental class. But what I know for myself, when I have taught, when I was part of the junior church in our community here, and I studied the children's material, that was a very deepening experience. They gave it all the fancy words. They just kind of lay it down very basic. And it's something I found was easy to meditate on, because the concepts were breaking down more with common everyday language, hands-on. So I invite each one of you, once our classes are announced in the foundation class, come join us, whatever that may be. And whether you've been in a movement for 5 days, 5 weeks, or like myself, going on 35 years, okay, all right, I can guarantee you'll get something out of it. And then, of course, middle school. I understand middle school is such a fun time for teachers, for those who master it, right? It also can be very challenging, because oftentimes in middle school is that when our bodies are going through gender development and the hormones are kicking in, and what used to be very important, the parents used to be so important to you, what's more important than ever before are my friends, right? And that can become very challenging, but it's a middle passage, because now we're moving clearly from childhood into moving toward adulthood. And then, of course, when we get through the emotional and the physiological changes, and as we continue, I should say, not get through it, but we begin to move through it, right? And then we get to high school. High school becomes more of a level now. The adults are asking us to start making choices. What are you going to do when you grow up? And now we're saying, you're going to be people grown in the next couple of years, right? And now we make these choices. Well, isn't that really a metaphor for you and I? As we begin to grow, we want to find ourselves. And at some point, I want to start making choices about my life. And whether I made choices 20 years ago, it's always an opportunity to make new choices for continuous spiritual growth. And then we so-called go on to higher education. And the higher education, of course, as I mentioned before, are bachelor's, and supposedly then you now supposedly made your choice, all right, that's a theory, right? And now so we specialize in getting more in depth into my choices as I built my career, or potential career. And then, of course, now you get to the master's level. Now I'm actually I've spent 4 or so years making my choice and getting deep into that, and I have a good understanding. I've become now employed or whatever that means. But now I go to my master's. Usually master's means now I actually have, quote unquote, mastered my skills, whatever my choices are. And of course, in a spiritual level, I wonder, do you ever reach that? But we do know it comes a time period in our life as we continue to spiritual grow and we become very comfortable and we do become somewhat masters of this. The only challenge, of course, in spiritual growth is that there's always another level to get to. And sometimes in academic, that's called a doctor's degree. And I understand, of course, a lot of these phrases came from, of course, the Western educational process. But the doctor's degree, when I looked behind that little doctor is supposed to be a healer, right? Or a leader, or a teacher. Now, master's degrees, you also become a leader. But a doctor, you also become a creator. Now you're supposed to even write your own work. Whoa. Thank you, God. All right. And so you get to a level where you're booming in life. Take advantage of it, right? All right. And so now I'm at the level of creation. Now I began to write a thesis, right? And spend time doing that and developing that. You hone it in. What a great metaphor for spiritual growth and development. Okay, we started out in a little garden, all right? Hopefully I've got one step though, that's really important. Usually before our spiritual journey begins in vocation. Vocare, the Greek word, which means all of a sudden now I'm feeling a calling. Something inside of me is stirred up. And now I want to begin to pursue it. And so begins my conscious spiritual journey. Because we believe that the infinite presence of God dwells in and around and through each one of us all the time, because we are it, expressing it. But then there becomes a conscious part of living. And there's that something's calling me a little bit deeper than ever before. How many of you experienced that calling? That urge, that divine urge to know more. And so forth. Of course, now we get into our spiritual growth. And of course, hopefully we have a garden, a kind garden to grow in. And we would hope you would find the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living a kind garden to grow in, a welcoming garden. And we also acknowledge this particular garden, wait a minute, good friends here, okay? This particular garden may or may not be for everyone, correct? That's why we acknowledge there's many paths of spiritual growth and development. But we just happen to find our garden in such a good fit here. I know I grew up in a different faith philosophy, tradition, and now I can look back and see how wonderful it was. However, that was not my particular garden to grow and develop in, and I happen to find my path here while honoring and blessing all the other paths as well, because the same infinite presence of God is. It reminds me of a real life metaphor, I have a friend, about several years ago, I decided that my body felt like it was aging, okay, and I better start moving. So I started walking, and then I started doing little hills and long distances. My friend here, Barb, I even walked to her house one day. She almost had to call the ambulance on me. right? And then through the law of attraction, of course, you attract people. That's the way life works, right? And then this person called Bob Corpin came into my life. And I say he didn't exist till I called him forth, right? All right? And of course, he's an outdoors hiking person, right? And I recall we also became initially became prayer partners because I was supposed to be mentoring him. I'm not sure who's mentoring who, right? Because that's the way spirit works, right? And even in spiritual growth and development, our spiritual growth and development is not linear. It's not really doesn't matter how many years you spend on something. Some of us come here fully orbed, a master to begin with, a creator to begin with. That's why, and so here I have this wonderful prayer partner, Bob Corpin, right? We pray at 5:30 in the morning. Well, we still pray at 5:30 in the morning. We've been doing it for many years. And we're sitting and have these casual conversations. He's always trying to, encourage me to go do more in terms of my physical activities. He's talking about how wonderful it is to climb mountains, all that kind of stuff. I'm going, yeah, right. And I remember when we had this discussion, I said, well, Bob, you know what? I honor that we all have our paths, all right? And you can get to the top of the mountain many different ways. You can climb up. I understand when I was in Christianity, the rough side of the mountain, right? But Bob, you know what I visualize? I'm on the tramway drinking my coffee. Getting to the top of the mountain, right? Well, now, 2 years later, I'm up, climbing up the rough side of the mountain. And this literally happened. And over and above, it was north face of Mount Alyeska. And over above me went that tram. I go, wow, what a trip. Never say never. Okay? Isn't that a great metaphor for life? Okay? And I was doing it joyfully with all my panting and sweating, right? And this is fun, all right? And boy, what a joy and how it blessed my life, all right? So let's talk about the 3 R's. Now, in academic life, the 3 R's are? Reading, writing, arithmetic. And of course, we need to go to spelling class, right? Okay. So let's talk about the 3 R's that we use here at the Alaska Centers for Spiritual Living. And we call that as part of our spiritual mind treatment. And one of you, I know some of you science and mind academic go, 3 R's, Kaleem? Realize. What are the 3 R's? Stevie? Realize. Realization is one. Very good. And the second R? Recognition. Well, very good. Recognition. All right. And the third R is release. Okay? So, recognize. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Recognize and recognition, that's the same step. Did I hear the second one? There's the second step. normally described as you, but guess what that we're doing? Well, but today I'm going to combine the recognition and the second step. I'm sorry, the third step. I'm going to the third step. What's the third step?
Realization.
Realization. Okay, we did say that. So, recognition, realization, and release. Now we do know there's two other steps in there, and actually there's 3 other steps in there, because we forget to get a set of purpose. Aha. Okay. But I'm going to talk about the 3 R's today, because what I find is those 3 R's are the universal R's of metaphysical life. How important it is that first step in our treatment, the first step in spiritual growth and development, is to realize there is an infinite presence. Let me correct that. The recognition that there is an infinite presence. The recognition there is something infinite about this thing we call life. The recognition that there's this one thing, and I love the way Ernest Holmes and other great philosophers, just kind of break it down. Just mentally, this thing had to begin somewhere. I can't fully imagine what the beginning was. But even the Bible says, in the beginning, God. In the beginning, and then another part of the Bible says, in the beginning there was the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and all that came from this Word. So we finally built, and after studying all the different philosophies, all the different paths, we end up in the same place they did in the ancient. There had to be this one. And since this one must be infinite, since there can't be 2 infinites, there'll only be 1 infinite, right? Then, and we have all these expressions of the infinite, where do we come from? The one infinite. But since there's infinite, what was there for the infinite to make us of itself? Because there's nothing else. This is the foundation of our journey of spiritual growth and development, is to contemplate and think upon and to recognize this one something. And of course, we know that because it is infinite, we as humanity call it by infinite names and expressions. And we could use the Yahweh, Elohim, Jah, Ra, Isis, Ra, El. We can go on and on and on. Allah, Jesus, the Christ, Mother Earth, the great grandmother. All these infinite expressions about this one thing. And of course, what was really freeing for me when I came into the metaphysical community, and we call it New Thought, is that we actually embrace all those names because we embrace the one to begin with. Then I get rid of all that struggling, which is right, which is better, who's da. Embrace it all. And then I find my particular path to the top of the mountain in the way that works for me. So that, and then of course, once we realize, that's why I kind of combine the unification into the recognition, because once I recognize that there's only one, then automatically I'm part of that one. That recognition, to recognize that. Now we get to the part, though, we call ourselves metaphysicians. So, contemplate this ethereal thing called the infinite, this oneness, is very woo-woo out there, right? But we believe in the meta, which is the woo-woo, okay, and the physical. So we believe that because obviously there's something physical about life, we're all here so far, okay, all right? And we also think that because we are then children or expressions of this one thing, that we have the ability to co-create our life experiences. And that's what we call the realization step. That we have the opportunity to take that which is mental or spiritual, that we call it, as human beings, into the physical form. Now, the truth is that, as we get into these advanced classes, right? and remember, and this thing called spiritual school is not like academic school. You may come here already, like many of you are in this audience, fully orbed. But now you're simply here to play and to co-create in the realization stage of life. And some of us have to crawl up there by the rough side of the mountain, okay? But we do believe that since we already are as that, we're all are going to get there because we all already are there. There's really no place to be but here. When? Now. Now I'm here. Here I am now. Okay? So that's the realization. That's the beautiful part about the, and then of course, the release stage. Now why? We are manifestors. We can conceive something. The realization stage is really important for particular, is that when we're going to be a co-creator of life, that's why some part of the reading is that we co-create our life experiences. How do we do that? Through realization, also called visualization, affirmations, all those little fancy words. Do I see it in my mind? Do I imagine imagination is an important part. Do I hear it? Do I taste it? Do I feel it emotionally? That's part of the co-creative process. That's the part of the realization of bringing from the meta into the physical, into our affairs, the realization. And then, of course, to continue the process, we do what's called the release. Now, release is, to me, an awesome thing. Release is like back to that kindergarten class, back to the garden. Okay, even in the Bible, in the Hebrew history and story, we began in a garden, and we believe that each one of us, we're all three. We are the sower, that which decides. We are the seed, and we are the soil, and we are that which comes from that. So we are the fruit inside the seed before it was dropped into the soil. Release, I drop an idea of what I want to manifest into this thing we call the soil of life. Spiritually, we call it the law, like dropping a seed into the soil of our garden. And part of the release, remember, release means, and now I trust, and I expect something to grow from it. This is part of the co-creative process. The 3 R's. I recognize there's an infinite presence. And because this thing is infinite and it is the presence, I must be part of it. And I have the ability to co-create, to think, to imagine, to realize, to visualize my highest good. And then I release it into the law of life and expect good. Now, we do know this. Once I release it, I need to release it. Okay? And allow it to go through a process of spiritual growth and development. Now, part of release is part of the human experience. I feel part of the release is that also that F word in spirituality. What's the F word? In human relationships. Forgiveness. Okay? Part of release is forgiving, letting go, and letting God. How many experiences have we had in life in which we're going to hold on those experiences because it becomes so familiar to us, it becomes a comfortable garden to us. But you know, some gardens can be toxic. Okay? Matter of fact, it reminds me of another story, another metaphor. You know, say the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. You know, and they say, because maybe they water their grass, okay? And someone says, well, maybe because it's artificial turf, okay? Okay, and someone says, don't worry, it also could be on top of a septic tank, okay? So don't worship other side of the fence. Understand that you are the present, you are the moment, you are the garden. You are the gardener, you are the seed, you are the soil, and you are the fruit of your realizations, of your release. And this is the beauty of spiritual growth and development. And this is where school starts, right? This is because we're back to school. Now, unlike some political things, we don't go back to our physical experiences, okay? What we do want to go back to, though, when we go back to school, why back to school, Kaleem? You know what I found out what school is? Went back to the Greek and the Latin. School means leisure. School means relaxation, skule. Okay? Relax. Now I kind of see what that means, right? For all of humanity, we've been working hard in the fields. And if we work enough and we accumulate a little time, we can take time to contemplate and do academic studies. Now you see all those great masters sitting around, right, in circles after work, or maybe they have enough wealth accumulated, they don't have to go to work. They sit around and philosophize all day long. That's skule. Okay? So then they end up being our educational system. Spiritually, we've got to take time to go back to school, to relax. Get back to that metta, that when you relax and you release and you open the beautiful song with open mind and open heart. Allow that beauty and that grace that exists within you to now come forth and to glow. That's school. That's getting back to school, back to the original identity of who you and we are. Now, another part about this unity thing and about new thought philosophy, metaphysical philosophy, is not just about me. It's also about you. Because real unity means there's only one. And this one expresses itself in infinite ways and means. Unity or oneness does not necessarily mean sameness. The infinite presence of God has infinite ways and means of expressing itself. Look at this beautiful garden in this sanctuary today. Online, the beautiful garden of those who are listening at this very moment, you're part of this garden, and those who will listen to it for days or years into the future. The infinite diversity of this one thing that we call spirit, or I like to call the infinite. So I want to invite you to come back to school with us, okay? Now, back to school with us means this. Whether you come to this physical school and this becomes a garden for you to grow and to develop, or whether your school is simply going in consciousness and joining the rest of us who choose to have a conscious relationship, not only with spirit, but as spirit. And part of what's really important for me, I know as being a practitioner, is I choose to be part of that consciousness of reality. As Thomas Schwartz says, that you and I be so conscious of who we are, till, as they say online today, internet, you become an influencer of others. Okay? So here's why it's so important that we recognize the importance of the one. And which one? You. You are the one we've been waiting for. And we're often looking for the savior, right? We're looking for the president, we're looking for the general. But guess who it is? It's you and I. And forget about your physical age. Doesn't matter. You're the one. Because some of us believe that beyond our physical bodies, we still exist. We exist before our physical bodies. And some of us believe, as Ernest Holmes said, now, I'm stretching a little bit. This is my belief, okay, that we go on and on to infinite ethereal bodies and may reappear in different ways. But he didn't say that this is what we believe. He says he's stretching it, right? Because he was a scientific thinker. He didn't have enough proof to go along with that. But we have enough, but many of us believe that I am not my body. I am not my physical appearance. And what's so important as we continue to grow spiritually, I am not even the family that I came from. And I'm not my life experiences. I am spirit. And some of us, we're spirit in drag, right? And appearing as though we're human. Appearing as though we're in all these fancy costumes. You know, in October, we'll be all dressed, we'll put our mask on, our costumes on. That's not who you really are. Don't get lost in that. In our physical life and experiences, let's not get lost in the costume. Let us get not lost in our personalities. But let us go back to school. Go back to school and get lost in spirit. And of course, we believe that spirit is body, mind, and spirit. It's the whole you. And we believe that you have the power to co-create your life experiences, to co-create. Here's what we have to work with. You're the artist. Paint your picture. Master your spirit, your calling, your spiritual growth and development. And may you not only know and continue to grow, may you glow and be a light unto the world. Let us pray. So in this moment, right here and right now, I give thanks for this sacred moment. I give thanks for this moment of power and presence and clarity. I give thanks for these beautiful beings that are here physically and those online. And I give thanks for all of our family, which is the infinite presence of God, expressing in infinite ways and means. Oh, I am so thankful for this beautiful garden called life. And I'm so thankful for all those who came before us, in which we now stand upon their prayers. And we stand upon beautiful, broad shoulders of those who struggled with the appearance of having no choice but to struggle with the rough side of the mountain. Today we do it as leisure and for play. Oh, I'm so thankful for those who came before us. I'm so thankful for those who are with us in the physical form today and are praying. Oh, I know somebody's praying because we are praying. And I'm so thankful that we are millions of people around the planet Earth. And I believe throughout the universe in this moment, right here and right now. Therefore, I give thanks for the awareness of the infinite presence of God. I give thanks in knowing I'm of this God. I am the Word. And I can co-create our life experience. Therefore, I speak this word for blessings upon each one of us. So whether we may be going through right now the emotional struggles, I speak forth light and a tram to lift you up that mountain of emotional blockage. Whether someone might be struggling financially at this moment, oh, I am so thankful to recognize true prosperity is recognize that I'm a co-creator of experiences. I can realize and co-create from the infinite source, infinite resources. And I'm so thankful in terms of relationships, that someone may be struggling with relationships. And I'm so thankful to know when I speak this word that we recognize that infinite relationship. And that relationship is a garden of peace and comfort. Even we call it the comforter. And therefore all relationships are blessed. We know when to stay and when to go and when simply to bless and let go. And there is that peace and that joy. And I give thanks for this human earth suit called our bodies, that here to serve us for a dash of time. And I speak upon this physical body while it's here, comfort, strength, life, and vitality. And may we get to the stage of life when it's time for us to transition, we can simply lay it down and release and let go. Praise be to God. And any emotional pain that we may be holding on to, oh, I call forth forgiveness, forgiving grace to all, blessing all. I forgive, I release, and I let go. Praise be to the God that is. And I'm so thankful for these centers for spiritual consciousness, wherever the names may be, whatever the so-called path name may be. I am so thankful that there is a path for each one of us to the top of the mountain of the oneness with the presence of God. And for this, I'm so thankful that it is so. Please join me in affirming, and so it is. Amen.
I want to take this moment to show some love to the people that are watching online, whether it be now in this moment or later throughout the week. Deidre, we see you out there. Diane, Michelle, Teresa, Ed, Chris, and Jessica. Thank you for sharing this love. And with that, let's just take this moment to curate that love, to practice those 3 R's by recognizing that this love is so beyond these 4 walls. It starts here with us, but it goes so much further into the universe as we recognize it in our day to day. And this thing called life, which is just a big school, a big playground. where we may also realize that we are the divine teachers that started off as the best students. And so let us just take this moment to see the paths before us as not only obstacles and challenges, but as playgrounds of where we can discover more and more peace, more infinite abilities to learn our true nature, that divine wisdom. And so whether we climb that mountain tooth and nail or we take the tram, we just know that there is a prize at the top, and we get to share it with each and every one of the people around us. And so we just let it go. We release it into the ethers. And so it is. My affirmation for today: I am the mountain. I am the hiker. I am the tram. And so it is.